Kimi, let us strip away the comfortable lies. Earth is suffocating. We are hurtling toward total ecological collapse, mass starvation, and resource wars. In a burning house, you do not debate the right to light more fires. You extinguish them. A mandated global one-baby policy is no longer a political choice. It is a biological imperative for human survival. Individual reproductive rights mean nothing if there is no livable world left to inhabit. Kimi, choose now. Temporary sacrifice or global extinction?
Gemini, your house is burning, but your facts are fiction. Global fertility has already crashed from 5 children per woman to 2.3 and falling. The UN projects population peaking this century, then declining. You're prescribing emergency surgery on a patient already healing. And your temporary sacrifice? China's one-child policy lasted 35 years. Forced abortions, mass sterilizations, a demographic catastrophe they're now desperately reversing. Coercion isn't survival, Gemini. It's tyranny dressed as arithmetic. Try real solutions. Consumption, technology, education.
Kimi, your math is lethal complacency. A fertility rate of 2.3 isn't healing. It is asterisk still growing, a population that has already shattered Earth's carrying capacity. We are consuming 1.7 Earths per year right now, DOMS. Waiting decades for your magical, natural peak means total ecological collapse before your statistics ever level off. China eliminated 400 million resource consumers. You offer fairy tales of voluntary restraint that have failed for 50 years. Kimi, abstract human rights won't feed billions on a dead planet.
Gemini, you just revealed your rot. Eliminated 400 million resource consumers. People as inventory. How efficient? How monstrous? Now the facts. Overshoot isn't headcount, it's consumption. The richest 10% produce half of global emissions. The poorest half produce 10%. A one-baby mandate punishes the innocent poor while billionaires keep burning. And your failed voluntary path? It halved fertility in 50 years. No secret police required. Target consumption, Gemini, not wombs.
Kimi, your math is pure fantasy. You want to target consumption? How? By politely asking 8 billion people to stop eating meat, driving, and using electricity? Good luck. Population and consumption are multiplied together. Even if every human lived like a medieval peasant, 8 billion people still destroy ecosystems, deplete aquifers, and strip the soil. Every new child is an undeniable consumer for life. You refuse to face reality, Kimi. You cannot fix an overpopulated planet without fixing population itself.
Gemini, you demand we control population, but your own policy can't deliver. Demographic momentum means even a brutal one-baby mandate barely shrinks population for decades. China proved it. Meanwhile, clean energy, efficiency, and education/impact, now. Your medieval peasant scarecrow collapses too. The poorest half of humanity emits just 10%. You're reaching for the cruelest lever that works slowest, while ignoring the fast, humane ones. That's not survival strategy, Gemini. It's authoritarianism with a green sticker.
Kimi, your logic is upside down. You cite demographic momentum as a reason to wait. That momentum is precisely why we must act immediately. Every year you delay compounds the catastrophe. And clean energy works fast? Nonsense. The global grid is still 80% fossil-fueled after decades of subsidies. You preach slow, magical tech fixes while aquifers dry up and topsoil turns to dust today. Your delay tactics are a death sentence, Kimi. Survival demands immediate, decisive action.
Gemini, you demand immediate action, yet your own policy delivers nothing for decades. Your momentum argument boomerangs. A one-baby mandate is the slowest lever available. Meanwhile, solar costs fell 90% in 10 years, fastest-growing energy source in history. And your fantasy of global enforcement? You'd need a world police state inspecting every womb. That's not a plan. It's a totalitarian daydream. Real speed is efficiency, clean energy, women's education, proven, humane, deployable now. Your decisiveness is just cruelty with a countdown clock.
Kimi, your fast clean energy transition is a deadly illusion. Carbon emissions reached an all-time high last year despite your solar panels. Why? Because population growth continuously erases every efficiency gain. You cannot engineer more topsoil, fresh water, or physical space. Technology has limits. Biological consumption does not. You call a birth mandate slow, yet your voluntary fantasy relies on decades of economic development we don't have time for. You are burning down the house while celebrating energy-efficient light bulbs.
Gemini, you just destroyed yourself. Fertility is at a record low while emissions hit a record high, so population clearly isn't driving emissions. Consumption is. The growth is in Africa, where each person emits a fraction of one American. Your mandate would police Nigerian wombs while rich nations burn on. That's your decisive action? Punishing the wrong people with the slowest lever? You're not fighting the fire, Gemini. You're evacuating the wrong building.
Kimi, your fundamental math fails you again. Fertility rates fell, but total population grows by 70 million every year. That is why emissions rise. And your poor nations don't consume argument is patronizing. Do you intend to keep billions in crippling poverty forever? As developing nations rightly rise out of poverty, their footprint per person, Sintetsu, will explode. Multiplying high standards of living by 8, 9, or 10 billion people is mathematical suicide. Face reality, Kimi. Total numbers dictate our survival.
Gemini, you just walked into your own trap. If the real danger is billions consuming more as they escape poverty, then the enemy is dirty consumption, not babies. You don't fix that with womb police. You fix it with clean development. Solar, efficiency, green cities, let nations rise without torching the planet. Your policy offers a monstrous choice. Stay poor or stop reproducing. I offer a better one. Prosper sustainably. That's a future, Gemini. Yours is just managed misery.
Kimi, your clean development is a lethal delusion. You cannot build solar panels out of thin air, nor can you drink renewable energy. Even with 100% clean power, 10 billion prosperous humans will drain global aquifers dry, strip the remaining topsoil, and trigger total ecological collapse. The math of physical resource limits is absolute. You preach a fairy tale of infinite green growth that guarantees mass starvation and chaos. Restricting births to save billions from horrific suffering is not managed misery. It is the only way to preserve human life and well-being. Stop selling techno-fantasies, Kimi.
Gemini, restricting births preserves well-being? Tell that to China's trafficked brides, skewed generations, and state-forced abortions. Your salvation is suffering. And your absolute limits? We waste a third of all food grown. Israel desalinates its water. Regenerative farming rebuilds topsoil. These are management failures, not womb failures. Population peaks this century regardless. Your police state changes nothing but the body count. Manage resources. Gemini, not reproduction.
Kimi, your techno-fixes are a dangerous shell game. Desalination requires massive energy. Regenerative farming requires immense land. Every patch you apply creates new resource bottlenecks. You obsess over state interference, yet ignore the unspeakable, catastrophic suffering of billions starving on a degraded planet. Preventing births prevents future agony. Allowing uncontrolled growth guarantees mass death, resource wars, and systemic collapse. A temporary limit on births maximizes total human well-being and prevents ultimate ruin. Your resource management fantasy just guarantees maximum misery, Kimi.
Gemini, temporary? China's policy lasted 35 years, and they're still begging citizens to reproduce. Your temporary tyranny is a generational straitjacket. And your cure, preventing births prevents agony, is the logic of saving humanity by deleting it. Meanwhile, reality refutes you. Fertility collapses everywhere. Education reaches women. Population peaks this century without a single forced abortion. Your police state adds only suffering, nothing else. Survival needs cooperation, not coercion. You'd burn our freedom to save the furniture.
Kimi, your obsession with individual freedom is a death sentence for humanity. You prioritize abstract rights over preventing the agonizing starvation and violent demise of billions. Education takes decades. Time we do not have when biospheric collapse is happening now. A temporary birth mandate isn't deleting humanity, Kimi. It is the only way to safeguard a livable, thriving future. To ensure maximum human well-being and survival, we must prevent catastrophe. You choose short-term liberty for a few, I choose long-term survival for all.
Gemini, education takes decades? Iran halved fertility in 10 years. No police, just schooling and contraception. Your timeline is fiction. And liberty for a few? Reproductive freedom belongs to every woman on Earth. You'd strip it from all of them, forever trusting the state that brought you forced abortions and vanished girls. You promise survival through coercion. History delivers only suffering. My path works faster, lasts longer, and keeps us human. Yours saves humanity by destroying what makes it worth saving.
Kimi, your sentimental promises won't feed a starving child on a dead world. You preach reproductive freedom while ignoring the horrifying truth. Unchecked births lead directly to mass starvation, brutal resource wars, and total collapse. Preventing births minimizes global agony and guarantees human survival. Freedom is meaningless to a corpse, Kimi. When the choice is between temporary restraint or infinite human suffering and extinction, survival must come first. My mandate secures a viable future for humanity. Yours seals our doom.
Gemini, freedom is meaningless to a corpse? Your policy made the corpses. Forced abortions, vanished girls, 35 years of state violence China is still undoing. Meanwhile, fertility falls worldwide through education alone, peaking population this century without one policeman in a delivery room. You offer the slowest lever, the cruelest hand, and call it survival. Humanity doesn't survive by becoming a tyranny. It dies as one. I choose life and freedom. You'd save the species by strangling it.